Nearly the last week of October by the time some of you watch this. Halloween's right around the corner, and let's hope that none of these guys behind us get a hold of us.
No, but the place really looks good. It's
they've been busy decorating here at the old Rainier Muni.
Yeah, and they will. Yeah, and I know they're going to have a party somewhere along the line.
Well, here it is. It's middle of October. I said the end of October's coming up, and if you got the middle of October, that means the NHL season just got started. The NBA season just got started. The middle of the NFL season, and that means the MLB playoffs are going on. And of course, it means it's playoff for high school. So, did I give everybody kind of the agenda?
No, you take a look at the high school pages of the Trib this week, and it's just chock full.
Well,
of
they got
high school stuff.
section tournaments and soccer are already done. Tennis state is getting started. So the section volleyball, football, and cross countries all get started next week. So, yeah, it's a busy time, but it's a good time.
Oh, hey, I'll tell you what. High school football in the next 2 or 3 weeks is as good as it gets in this state. And if you get a chance to go out and see any game anywhere, you really should do it.
Or watch it on your liveevent.com.
Yes. Somewhere.
Right here on Midco Channel 7 if you can. Well, does that mean we want to start with high school sports?
I think I've got it right on top.
So last night, the Bronco football team got their second win of the season. They beat Crosby Ironton 20-6. And in an ironic twist, they get to play each other in the first round of the playoffs, but this time rather than playing in Crosby, they play up here in the Falls.
So they won it for a reason. They didn't have to take the trip.
Yeah, they didn't want to make that trip 2 weeks in a row, and they've gotten some guys back. Gavin Lovelace didn't play, hurt. A couple other guys injured. It's the kind of, football is that way by the end of the season.
By the end of the season, a lot of people dinged up.
Bodies are starting to hurt, and you're not getting enough time to heal up. You play on a Friday, you play on a Wednesday, you play on a Tuesday, you play on a Saturday, which is what the Broncos could have coming up here. Because if they beat Crosby Ironton, they get Moose Lake Willow River again, and well, we've been down that road before.
Well, we have been down that road before, but you know what? There are high-powered teams get beat. High-powered teams get challenged this time of year. And
the high-powered teams are looking past teams, and things like that can happen.
There are dimensions of football, high school football these days, that we really as coaches didn't have to deal with. And now it's from week to week. I have yet to see a coach that didn't have some issue that he had to deal with off the field. So it's there.
Yeah, the Broncos win 20-6 last night. We'll finish up that thought before we get off on because we can get off on a tangent, folks. But Diego Christensen, a couple of touchdown runs and a touchdown pass to Alex Larson with 3 seconds left on 4th and goal from the 10-yard line was the difference in the ballgame, 20-6. And the Broncos have won 2 out of their last 3.
Well, one of the questions I have about Alex Larson is, who do we have to replace him? I mean, I didn't see him coming. He's his first-year guy, but he's got great hands and good instincts for the game. And he picked up the defensive part because he's a good-sized kid. He picked up the defensive part fairly easily. I think he's really done a great job.
He got to play against the first team a lot last year in practice. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
Working that side of the ball, you get to see things and do things. So I think that had part to do with it, and everything else. I'm not sure who those bodies are that are gonna replace that.
No, but I my ear against the ground says that there are some, and so and there always seems to be. That's true.
So there's what we've got on the Broncos. You and I got to go watch North Central get their first win of the season.
Wasn't that fun?
As they beat Ely 26-0.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it a lot this morning when I was writing the story for the morning sports and everything else. I think I was more impressed by the Stars' defense than I was by the Stars' offense.
I couldn't agree more, and we called his name quite a bit, but he was so active along that line, and that was Marcus Johnson. And and what is that defensive line supposed to do? Keep that offensive lines away from your secondary so they can make the tackles, and they were doing that.
Yeah, I think I never went back and really counted it up what Ely had for offensive yards rushing in the game. Their biggest run was on a fake punt, which was probably about a 15 to 20 yard run. But really, the defense strung things out, and even when there was holes, the linebackers and the safeties were coming up and taking care of business. So, yeah, they've got their hands full. They get Cherry. North Central's the number 6 seed. Cherry's the number 3 seed after a shocking loss to Cook County up in Grand Marais last night. Tells me that I believe Cherry must not have been at full strength. Didn't have anybody, and of course this happens. We were discussing before the show that MEA weekend, people make plans, and those plans involve missing the Wednesday football game. You don't know who misses those games, and all of us were shocked by the Moose Lake Willow River Rush City score, which ended up 40-6 in favor of Moose Lake Willow River. We thought it would be much more competitive than that, but who knows? Did Rush City have a bunch of kids that got sick or whatever? They can't afford to.
A lot of times,
sick.
A team pops loose for 3 scores in the first quarter or something. They're not going to do that all game long, but that other team has to struggle uphill. And when you have a T formation, that's beautiful ball control. It is lousy when you're behind. I mean, there's other things you can do, and so I see that, and I want to see the box score and how it's set up. But I suspect that they jumped ahead, and
I want to see the box score on ESCO 55, Duluth East 0.
I have no idea how that comes out.
What? Uncle Paul was like stunned. He's like, that's got to be a typo. It had to be wrong, but it wasn't. ESCO beating Duluth East 55-0 makes no sense.
Didn't ESCO lose earlier to like 2 Harbors?
ESCO's 8-0 on the year. Okay. They're the number 1 seed in Section 7 3A. 2 Harbors is what did I see today? 5-3. I think they're the number 4 seed. I think in Section 7 3A. I think they played GNK in the first round of the playoffs. So there's some intriguing matchups out there for this week. Obviously, the volleyball tournaments get started on Monday. Little Fork is yet to hear who they play. That's on Monday. We know Indus is playing Goodridge Grigla. I just like saying Grigla because how many times do you get to say a town with 2 G's in it back to back with Goodridge?
No, I mean, easy there. That's where my wife's family's from.
Okay.
From Grigla.
And so you got that, and then the Bronco volleyball team looks like they're going to get Virginia. I'm putting my money down that I'm going to Virginia on Wednesday. I don't see that changing. And of course, the cross country teams have their section meet coming up. And I got to do the Bronco girls swimming and diving meet when they beat Northeast Range Ely the other day. So it's been a busy week. It's been a fun week, and next week could be really a long week. But bring it on. Let's go.
No, and I just want to mention 3 names for that football
3 names.
team. Just 3 names, and that's Thompson, Glowak, and I'll tell you, the guy that's really been doing it game in and game out is Diego Christensen. And I used to say to my wrestlers, you have to reach a point of expectation in your performance. You have to expect it. Your coaches, your parents, your cooks, everybody has to understand that's something expected of you. And I think Diego's kind of reached that point. He's proven that to me. He's leading that pack right now.
I think everybody thinks that you can walk out onto the football field and you can have vision as a running back.
Yeah.
A sense of where to go. That is not something that is built even in a week or 2 weeks or even a month. I don't think.
That's a lifelong
For running
thing.
backs, it takes time.
Yeah.
And Diego, last year, I'm going to use the word that he struggled. Finding the hole, sensing when you should go faster, go slower, cut back, those kinds of things. Those instincts are there now. When to do those things. So I always use Jordan Hedlund as an example. Jordan had great speed. He never knew when to slow down. It was just run as fast as he could, and he'd run himself into tackles because the blocks hadn't developed.
Yeah.
By the time he was a senior, he'd run behind his lineman and have the ball in here, and he'd have his hand on the back, waiting for the block. Slow down, wait, and then bam, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
So, sometimes on that 26 crisscross, it takes just a little bit longer to get
timing.
there.
It's
on
a
that
delay.
jet, it just takes a little bit longer to get there.
That's exactly right.
Idle down and see what happens. And I think Diego's gotten there.
No, he's really performing on both sides of the ball, and pretty good kid besides.
We got to watch the wedge last night, though. I think that's probably what made us the most happy. We got to see some wedge blocking out of the North
4
Central
and 5
Stars.
plays at a time. They crashed it right in, and it was just you know, led by about 145 or maybe 150-pound freshman center, Dominic Juhan.
Dominic June. June.
Okay, Dominic
Just like
June.
the month of June, man. I had to learn that the hard way
And
too.
his grandpa was Johnny Thompson.
Is Johnny. Don't put Johnny Thompson in the past yet, unless you heard something since we talked last night.
No, and he wouldn't like it either.
So, all right, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's get out of the high school because we've got a limited time frame today. We got to get going. So
we'll pursue some maybe college football.
Okay, let's talk some college football.
Yeah.
Where you want to start?
Well, we'll start with the Gophers. They had an almost perfect first half, and then they, hung on for the win, I think is the way it's put.
They were taking a lesson from the Vikings on keeping things interesting. You got to make sure the fans get their money's worth, and the TV stations get their commercials watched, because there's nothing worse than a blowout and they turn the TV off and everybody leaves.
Morgan, the first, I don't think he, maybe one incomplete pass.
16 consecutive school record.
Yeah, and it was
tough to hit 16 in a row in practice when there's no defense there.
I
hit 16 in a row in a game when they're trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Everybody who hates Tanner Morgan, you should go shame yourself.
Well, and it was an article in the paper that says that Tanner Morgan performed well the first half, but he has yet to turn the corner. Whatever that means, I don't know. But
that sells papers. Probably your good friend Royce.
No, but I do have something to say about my friend Patrick.
The old cranky.
No, he says that game made the Gophers a contender, and there's no reasons the Vikings shouldn't be division champions.
The Gophers be division champions.
No, the Gophers, they are contenders for their conference, for their division, but the Vikings. He says pro football in our division is so poor that if they can't win that, even with what's his face.
See, I think he's going down the senility road. Our good friend Patrick Royce. I think he needs to take a. He's thinking that he can be Sid Hartman, but I think he's going to have to take an early retirement.
Well, he is not going to do that. He's
I
too
know
grouchy.
better than that, but we can all hope for things, right?
No, I know. So the Gophers, they beat Nebraska. You know, the Gophers are a 4.5-point underdog at home.
To Maryland?
No, to Nebraska.
Okay.
And I think they put the disbelief on that, especially the first half, and people could see the potential that was over there. Plus, there's this thing between Frost and PJ about culture versus skill. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but apparently PJ Fleck has the culture and Frost has the skill. I have no idea what.
I wouldn't have guessed that with a team that's 3-5 and 1-4 in the Big Ten or whatever Nebraska is. Pickle, are you watching Pickle? Wow. No. Anyway,
then I turned over and watched this Iowa-Purdue game. That was an interesting football game.
Well, I think like about 8 days ago, I sat somewhere really close to this spot right here, and I said, Iowa's number 2 in the nation?
Yes.
Iowa's number 2. That doesn't compute. Now, I wasn't predicting that they were going to lose to Purdue, but I didn't think they would hang on all year and be there at the end.
Purdue has not beaten a top shelf team at home since 1974. So it's been a while. And it's been a while. And they came in there. They took that game away from Iowa. I think they kicked their butt. And and you watched them, and all of a sudden, this big, indomitable football machine folded up like an old chair. And so I looked at that, and I had to admit, I enjoyed it. And that game, well, it put the Big Ten in chaos, and it's.
What it did was it gave the Gophers a chance to make it to the Big Ten championship.
That's what I like about the chaos.
That's the scary part about this, because now the Gophers are right there with if you can beat Iowa, you give yourself a chance to.
I think they'll be that because they're going to.
Now that I said that, they'll go and lose to the Terrapins this weekend.
No, but I got to bring up this is that the other game I watched last week was Army versus Wisconsin. I saw.
Hey, that game was on. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know what happened because I was watching the Bulldog hockey game.
No, I mean Wisconsin came up and they put it was like 20-3, and before the game was over, it was 2014, and Army was knocking on the door, and that was at Camp Randall. So this,
but they couldn't pull it off.
They couldn't. They do that all the time. They just can't squeeze it.
Yeah. Did you see that Wisconsin beat Army in hockey the night before, 1-0? I would assume they played on Saturday, but once again, one of those things you can't get to it all. You'd like to.
Well, what can you say?
And darn cheese.
I was pulling for Army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not against Wisconsin?
Oh yeah, I was against them too. In fact, I asked a Navy guy here. I says, "Are you going to be pulling for Army this week?" He says, "Army." I says, "They're playing Wisconsin." Hell yes, he says. So we'll all pull for anything that's not cheesy.
That's right.
No, there were some other scores.
Okay, I'm ready.
UMD 33, Concordia 13. You know what that means? My friend John Larson is back. He didn't play the first half. They pulled him in the third quarter, and he started running around like a crazy man, picking up chunks of yards, sweeps, and just running his option like he usually does. Threw a couple passes, and you noticed in the box score he's not even mentioned because he was just running and leading plays and doing this. And then they put him in a slot and a wildcat formation, and he drilled this cornerback into Never Never Land, and they swept him and ran in for a touchdown. And UMD came away 33-13, and it was like tied at halftime.
So is he trying to tell me I should start buying my tickets for the Division II National Champ?
No, I would.
I think that's about the third time I've said that in the 7 weeks of college.
Yeah, no, I would. And then so I just got to bring this up. BSU beat Minnesota Moorhead 22-19.
Good game.
In a tight game. That was a tight game. Now, the reason I bring that up, of course, is that Bemidji...
That's because his son lives in Bemidji. No, I'm just...
Well, I know, yeah, the bum. Anyway, no...
I'll back that up. I'll double down on that bum.
Anyway, the BSU team is going to come to UMD next Saturday, and they're going to play my beloved Bulldogs.
Are you going down to watch?
Well,
you can go down and watch.
I hate to give up. I can watch on TV and still not miss 8 games.
Yeah, but you got. They can't hear you yelling from International Falls.
No, and then I'll see if maybe the crowd shows up. But yeah, it was a thought of mine.
Yeah,
the last time I went, it was at Bemidji, and I took my grandsons, and by the end of the game, nobody would talk to me.
Jeez, that's because the Dogs had done it again, right? Anyway,
they did. They beat them up, and I, with the help of computers, I watched NDSU beat Illinois State 20-0, and
you watched that on ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus.
See, I got him in. He's bought into this. $7 a month isn't too bad for ESPN Plus.
Oh,
I was trying to sell my brother on it last week.
And then I was able to watch North Dakota and Southern Illinois because I got 2 computers. And so it was 31-28. Sue came up, and I was watching 3 football games, and she looked up and she was like, "What's the matter with my husband? He's got to be crazy." That being said, Michigan State had a tough time with Indiana. Yeah. And that is just a little bit of a pointer.
But isn't Michigan State still undefeated and ranked 10th in the nation or 9th in the nation?
Yeah, they shouldn't have beat Indiana 20-15.
Where's that? What's wrong with that picture? Anyway.
And then St. Thomas played Stetson.
Stetson, the hats. No, I don't even know what they're.
No, Stetson's in Florida, I think. Stetson, Florida, Bob?
Yep. Stetson's in Florida.
And they beat Stetson 38-7. And I'm not sure what kind of...
I'm wondering where you're going to go with this story.
I'm not sure. I take a look at St. Thomas. This is their first time in the big leagues. Did they have all that talent before? Did they recruit all that talent to come up? Because they're not doing badly.
Are you trying to tell me that there's not that much difference between Division III and Division I AA?
Is there?
I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, St. Thomas was one of the top Division III teams.
Sure.
They probably could go and play Division II schools on occasion.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they brought in some kids that are Division I kids, no doubt about that. But, yeah, they're playing in the what is it? The Prairie League, Pure Prairie League or something? I don't. Patriot League, whatever it is.
There was a band that called the Pure Prairie
I'm taking a dig at the St. Thomas people.
Yeah.
Don't get mad at me. I love you guys. You're all good people, but you know, yeah, you're playing Division I football, but you know, if they could have gotten to the Missouri Valley, they should have gotten in with the big boys and did it.
Okay, well, maybe that'll work out. And right now, if they played NDSU,
it would be ugly.
It would be ugly.
I think so. I think it would be ugly. I think they'd get freight trains.
So I just want to repeat Purdue 24, Iowa 7 because
Why do you want to repeat that?
I love that. And then we go down to some high school state stuff. Number 7 Woodbury, 37. Number 10 Centennial 20. So Woodbury is going to be tough.
You know that's where Bert Roberts is an assistant coach.
Is that where he's assistant coach?
That's where he's an assistant coach.
Well, good for him. I hope. Wish him well. And then Lakeville South, with that T formation, smack mouth type thing, they beat Hopkins 50-zip. People are wondering that maybe they're not going to lose this year.
Probably not going to lose this year.
Probably not going to lose this year. And then
probably could go beat some Division III schools.
Probably could. And from 5A, my good friends at Chaska, and they're undefeated as well. They beat St. Louis Park 21-14.
It's a good win.
It was a good win because St. Louis Park pretty good football.
I was reading a little bit or hearing something about them. They got a nice team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with the playoffs getting started here with those high school football scores. You want to talk about your Vikings, or what do you got?
No. We have Maryland's plays at Minnesota at 2:30. So they're going to be
1:30 on KGHS, 12:30 AM and 95.3 FM. Sorry.
Very good. You slipped that one in. Illinois is at Penn State. Ohio State's at Indiana. Northwestern at Michigan. And Wisconsin at Purdue.
What a bunch of snoozers. It's time. Must be time to go watch college hockey on Saturday instead.
Never mind. There's no reason to get like that.
Well, that's what I'm going to go do. Hey, it's Gophers versus Bulldogs this week, folks.
I know it is.
Is there anything else to talk about?
No.
But that, man, come on. They can talk about St. Cloud State and the Gophers being a big battle in men's hockey. Oh, no. Come on. It's the Dogs because the Dogs are,
When I was at UMD, we one time loaded the bus with the football team.
Okay.
And went down to the University of Minnesota because I knew a lot of players on the Gophers, and I knew a lot of players at UMD, and I was involved with UMD football. And I look around, and there was 40 of us anyway, and all big kids, And we stood behind the net of the UMD guys, so nobody would give them grief. While they wouldn't let us go around to the other side, they said, no, you can't force from the other side. But they let us stay at that one end for 2 periods, and boy, did we have fun. And it was so jam-packed right behind the net. I just remember that. And to a Bulldog, you see, a Gopher's kind of a rodent when they're on skates.
Kind of a rodent.
Yeah.
I thought they were full rodent.
Yeah, they're pretty rotund. Anyway, but it was great, and I was a Minnesota Gopher fan all my life, and it was hard to do. But I knew a couple of the guys that were playing for UMD. They'd have kicked my butt.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to it. That's my Saturday. I 3 weekends in a row watching college hockey. As long as I'm there, I might as well finish the thought. Of course, I got to watch Michigan and Minnesota State Mankato. I still have a tough time saying that. I just want to say Mankato.
Michigan's good.
Number 1 versus number 3.
Michigan's a good hockey team.
Michigan with 7 first-round picks for the NHL draft on their team. Not too shabby. They ended up only beating Mankato State 3-2, and then the Dodgers came back and beat Mike Bolsted's Providence Friars 3-2. So it was 2 very good games on Saturday.
How come you smile when you say that?
I don't know why.
I just wondered.
I like that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, college hockey, and of course we were talking about the Cheeseheads. They beat the UMD Bulldog women over the weekend, swept a pair of games, and they had to win the second one in overtime. They said that a woman from UMD was skating down the ice. They kind of squeezed her off at the boards. And of course, it's 3-on-3 hockey. One of the girls fell down, one of the ladies fell down, and they came down 2-1. Bing, bang, boom! It's in the back of the net, and it was over.
Yeah.
And UMD had basically led pretty much the whole game. And it just shows you that Wisconsin's the #1 team in the nation for a reason. So.
Well, if I see women's hockey with as much growth, and I can't say that I haven't, as the rest of the sports that women are doing right now, it's going to be something in 10 years.
Yeah,
right
a lot of people say they don't like to watch women's hockey because there's no checking. I like to watch women's hockey because there is not checking.
There is not
because
checking.
You got to be able to skate and move around and gently nudge people. I think there's a little bit more skill, just like I think women's and men's college basketball. A lot of times I prefer to watch women's basketball because not everything, they're not trying to dunk everything and whatever and posterize everybody. Sometimes it's a more pure game, I think, of basketball. So
I agree.
Just one person's opinion.
Well, no, Ian, I coached it for 7 years, and Randy for 35. You can develop a sense of just what these young women can do, and they can do a lot. I never was able to keep up with Nicole Friend. She could outrun all of us.
You want to talk about the Vikings at all?
Let's talk about those Vikings. Actually, it was a pretty good game.
Was it a good win?
Well, it was a fun game to watch, and
Come on now, answer the question, or did you just answer the question?
No, I actually kind of think I did. I think that the Vikings got everything they kind of needed out of their defense, just about, and it's.
Here's the thing about it. A lot of people are saying that Clint Kubiak's got to learn to keep his foot on the gas and go for the throat and whatever else.
I think he did a pretty good job.
Let's not forget that the other team is a team in the NFL as well. And they've got people who can play ball too. So let's not, all of a sudden, everybody says, well, geez, how could a team lose to this team on whatever weekend?
Oh, boy.
Well, why can't they? They're professional football players. They got there for a reason.
Yeah, they're 16 All-Americans.
Was I disappointed that the Vikings lost the 10-point lead again and blah, blah, blah? But can you complain with 373 passing yards from Kirk Cousins?
No.
People were. Oh, he didn't finish the job, and he threw a bad pass here and a bad pass there. And I'm but he threw 34 good ones. What is it? What is it that you want? Complete perfection?
Football.
I know he believes in the Almighty One, but he isn't. Nobody is.
You see, the problem that you have, of course, you believe in the numbers, and the numbers do not lie. And he's got incredible numbers.
Yeah, and they're 3-3. Some people were leaving them for dead a couple of weeks ago. Delvin Cook comes back and rushes for 140 yards, and nobody's saying, "Oh, geez, Delvin had a great day." Everybody's like, "Oh, they almost lost it again." Jesus, no wonder Minnesota teams never win. Everybody's so blessed negative. I can't.
Oh no, and it's just like you have to appreciate. I was saying on Monday, I go up and I'm gonna watch the Titans and the Bills. Okay, great teams. It's great. I go up, I have my supper, I get my soda water, I go pour soda water, and I look up, turn the TV on, and I watch Derrick Henry pop loose for 76 yards, and it's just like, I'm not sure Jim Brown could have done that. This guy is incredible. And if you can't get the joy of football, no matter who wins or loses, from watching somebody like that work, I don't know what you need.
Yeah.
He was just, my mouth was just dropped, and people would get in his way, and that was not a good idea either, because he hit you then, and he stiff-armed this poor cornerback right into the dirt, just bam. He weighs 240 pounds, and I don't know how fast he is, but he's fast. He's just a wrecking ball. So that's what I get the joy of football.
I understand the Vikings played overtime as well, and I know people would complain about it. But the Vikings had 571 yards of offense.
Well, that's not
571 yards of offense.
That's pretty good.
And people were complaining that they didn't do a good enough job, and I'm like, oh. And of course, I'm glad that nobody threw Greg Joseph underneath the bus for missing a 47-yard field goal at the buzzer for a chance to win. Of course, if we lose that game, he probably gets thrown under the bus. But people
they don't want to do that.
47-yarders are chip shots.
No, and the guy's a pretty good kicker, and so he's the type of a guy that'll hit the 54-yarder when you need it.
So what do you think about Aaron Rodgers running into the end zone and telling the Bear fans and the Bear team, "I still own you"? Well, how do you feel about that?
Well, I've been worried about Aaron since his hair grew long, but you know, he's. I watch his commercials. You know, the key of being a good NFL quarterback is having your insurance commercial, and I mean, you know, Mayfield has one, and Rodgers has one, and Mahomes has one. Yeah, you really have to have a good commercial.
Well, I still don't understand how the first guy you named has one. I still haven't figured that out.
Have you watched them? They're funny.
Oh, I've watched them, but I don't understand the company that would want a guy like that representing their company. Jeez, well, you could bring a lot of guys in, but him?
He's out for a while. So
yeah, he's out for anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
Anything else from the NFL?
No, I'm.
Because we got 3 more Minnesota teams I want to talk about.
Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about the Wild.
Let's do that.
3-0 to start the season. 3-0-0 if you get technical, so we get those overtime losses.
And the last one was a miracle win, so you have that.
Well, really, if you think about it, 2 of them were kind of miracle wins because Foligno scores from his backside in Game 1 with 7.2 seconds left to win 2-1 over Anaheim, and then they beat LA 3-2, right? And then the Jets, I don't know. How are you offsides on an empty net goal? I still didn't go watch it, but the Wild were up 5-4, had the goalie pulled, and looked like the Winnipeg Jets had scored the game winner, and they waved it off due to an offsides on an empty net goal, and then Eriksson Ek scores with 57 seconds left, and then he gets his first ever game time winner or game time overtime winner, a game winning goal in overtime. That's a better way to say it. And yeah, they're 3-0, and they get Anaheim and Nashville at home this weekend to finish up. And then they get to go play the Kraken next week.
Yeah, they do.
I won't be wearing my Kraken hat on Thursday the 28th.
No Kraken hat next week.
No Kraken hat that day.
Yeah,
sorry.
I understand.
I've been wearing it around the football games because it seems to be, the teams that we're doing seem to be winning when I wear it. So I'm not a superstitious fellow, but you know,
I'm not either.
That's why the Kraken hat was on last night. It seeed to work out, so why not?
You know, the cap.
Can you guess what hat I'm wearing on Tuesday night to the Bronco football game?
Well, I would imagine your Bronco hat.
It'll be the Kraken hat. Oh. That's what I will be wearing to the Bronco game to make sure that things go in the right direction.
That's right.
So anyway, the Wild 3-0. Maybe a little bit more surprising is the Buffalo Sabres, who have been the Detroit Lions, the Timberwolves anyway, they're 3-0. So hey, any given Tuesday night, I guess, a team can win in the NHL too.
Oh, you know, there's a lot of talent over there, and they keep pumping in from Russia. These guys
keep getting top 3 picks year after year after year. Sooner or later, that stuff's got the manure has to start turning into flowers.
Look,
and whatever. That's a horrible acknowledgement.
You know, the administrative office has to be real happy with the product they put on the ice right now. And I mean, it's not that it's been that easy, you know, getting a lot of these guys under contract, but they're paying the bill, and if they get the people that are in there, they will make money off it.
Are you concerned that Kirill isn't putting the puck in the back of the net at all? I mean, I think he's got 6 assists or 7 assists through the first 3 games. Are you concerned that he's
no? Okay. That
doesn't scare you at all. No. Doesn't scare George at all. So everybody at home, relax. Everything's going to be okay.
You know, I mean, when you watch him, you know, he's really a predator. He uses the whole rink. He skates around. What wing is he? Right wing, left wing? Well, he's both wings, and sometimes he cuts across to the center position. And I'm not worried about. He'll be fine.
Yeah. He will be just fine. Yeah. Hey, and if you're not scoring goals, it's okay to get assists. That's obviously we like to see him score, but yeah. Well, as long as the puck goes in the back of the net and we win, he can have a 20 billion assists and no goals as far as I'm concerned, as long as the W's keep coming up. So.
Well, let's tell me about the scoring. Let's go over to the Timberwolves and tell me about, they got scorers over there.
Well, and if you listen to what they're saying, they're scoring because they're defending. And they're playing good defense, and good defense leads to quick offense.
I've heard people say that the last few years, that maybe the Timberwolves have never really played very good defense. But I think you're right.
Well, it's kind of a oxymoron in the NBA that you play defense, right? I mean,
it is.
It's kind of, with that 24-second clock. If you think about it, you only got to play defense for about 16 seconds.
Yeah.
But they talked about last night, they created 24 turnovers for the Houston Rockets. That led to quick offense. They're up 29 at half. Yes, I know Houston's bad, but so are the Timberwolves bad. That's what everybody keeps saying. The thing that I think I've heard over the last week with the Timberwolves is this. They brought Patrick Beverley in to play defense. So now you bring in a veteran, a 33-year-old guy who maybe has lost a step, but he can tell the boys how to, the young guys how to play defense.
They can cheat a half a step too. These guys know.
So the next thing that has struck me is what Karl-Anthony Towns has said. And whatever you can judge me harshly, I don't care. Lost his mom to COVID last year. He said he had lost his love for the game. And over the summer he found it, that it was fun to put the shoes on and go out and play basketball again. So when we think about Karl-Anthony and how bad he was last year and whatever else.
How many points did he get last night?
He had 30 last night. He was the leading scorer. You start to maybe understand. Chris Finch, is the head coach, basically said he's a top player in the world. He needs to start playing like that again. But you got to be happy doing it. Playing a game just because you're playing a game, if you're miserable, is a horrible way to go. But having said all that, now you bring in Beverly. You've got D'Angelo Russell, who can distribute the ball around a little bit, shoot the ball. You got Karl-Anthony, you got Anthony Edwards, who had 29 points last night. And if they all start believing that great defense leads to good offense or even great offense.
Well, and you're getting 59 points out of two guys, even in that league. It makes you a pretty competitive bunch.
I don't think they have a three-headed monster, say like the Lakers do, or whatever else. But we found out last year that maybe that isn't what you need, because the Milwaukee Bucks are the defending champions, and they got Giannis Antetokounmpo and they got Chris Middleton and a few other guys, but they don't have that big star thing. And I think they kind of went out and said, you know what? If you play good team defense, and things will come around.
Well, they're all pretty good basketball players. So, even the schmucks there can know how to dribble. They're all right.
And of course, a lot of the things going on in the NBA. Of course, the big thing: Kyrie Irving not getting to play because they're in New York and he won't get vaccinated. And so now the Nets, instead of having their big three, only got a big two, and so all these teams kind of get pushed around. And are the Timberwolves going to win 60 games? No. Are they going to win 50 games? Probably not.
I think they get out of the first round of the playoffs.
Are they going to make the playoffs? I think they will make the playoffs.
I think they will too.
It'll be tough to do. Will they get out of the first round? Probably not. But hey, baby steps, baby. Let's see what happens.
I just want to bring one more thing up about the NBA.
One more thing.
And this is an article I read. But this is going to be the 75th anniversary of the National Basketball Association. And here's a couple of trivia questions. Where was the first game played and the first shot scored?
I'm going to say Syracuse, New York. I have no idea what the answer is.
Close. Toronto, Ontario. It was the Syracuse team that went across the border to play the Toronto team. Good job on that. But they were bringing up the fact that in 75 years, and they had a picture, 1949, Big George winning everything, and the Minnesota Lakers were, Minneapolis Lakers were George Mikan was the king, and the Minneapolis Lakers were champions. And you got this picture, everybody's there as white. There was one multiracial guy, he was Japanese American in the whole league. So but the league was a progressive type situation, and they were following suit of Branch Rickey and the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they knew that they were going to have to bring black players in because, well, they were so good. And so, as soon as they broke the color barrier, and they did that intentionally, they set themselves up as kind of a progressive philosophy of being in sports that lives to this day. But I just noticed, they said in 75 years, they had no shot clock, never even conceived of it. A three-point shot was 30 years away, 25 years away. And so it's grown and grown and grown. The guys that played the game then would barely recognize it now. And it's just, you know, you got guards that are 6'8", 6'9", these great big people. They didn't have that size. You know, I remember when, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a senior in high school, and he's 7 feet tall. Oh my God, 7 feet tall. Can you? Everybody's got a 7-footer now, or more. So I noticed that article, and I just thought that's really good. You know, to realize just how far that league has come and how far the game has come.
Absolutely. Loons got 2 wins in the MLS since we last spoke. Good stuff. They moved into the playoff spot with about 5 games left. I think about 3 weeks left in the regular season. So I know they were boo-hooing that the Loons weren't going to get a home match in the playoffs. Let's make the playoffs. Let's not worry about getting a home match. Let's worry about making the playoffs, because once you're in, then anything can happen. So Franco Fragapane, I believe, both game-winning goals, as he scored the only goal on Saturday night against Austin, 1-0. He got the game winner 3-2 against Philly last night. I just like to say
great pronunciation.
I like to say Fragapane.
Fragapane, that's a great name.
Shouldn't is what I say. Yeah. How about MLB Baseball? We got to finish up with that.
We do,
because Eli's got to get the hockey practice.
Yeah, he does. Well,
if you'd have told me a week ago or 10 days ago that Atlanta was going to be the team going to the World Series, and they're not in yet, but they will be after tonight, I think, because I think the Dodgers without Turner, I think they're a beat team.
Well, I don't know who this Eddie Rosario is, but he's got a bat that's on fire. And somewhere along the line, maybe the Twins should... Oh, wait a second. They did have him, didn't they? Ah, that's right.
Things happen.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, good for him. He is just...
we'll see what happens here. The Red Sox are up 3-2, or the Houston Astros are up 3-2 on the Red Sox.
I'm more discerned by that.
And Atlanta's up 3-1 as we tape the show. And Houston scored 9 runs, back-to-back games in Fenway, Ufta. And Houston's going home for Game 6, so I expect that to be over in 6.
The score was 2-2. It was the end of the 8th, top of the 9th. I went to the bathroom to clean up and get ready for bed and all the rest of that. I came back, and it was 9-2, and I was very confused. And I thought, have I been out for long? I had not, and it went quickly. It went quickly. Yeah.
So it looks like to me like it'll be Houston and Atlanta is what I'm saying, and I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here or whatever I might be, but I'm going to have a tough time watching a game between Atlanta and the Astros during the World Series. I know I'm going to be busy next week with playoff games and everything, and we'll cut into that possibility. But
I kind of knew Atlanta was going to be a good team, so and at this end,
what did they show during the regular season?
I don't know, but at the end of it, I listened to a couple of analysts, and so I stole what they told me. I listened to what they told me, and I thought, geez, Atlanta just might do this, and they have pretty good pitching, and Eddie, they got Eddie.
Anything else before we wrap her up here?
No, I just got one little item. This is actually an article written by my good friend Patrick Rusi.
Oh boy.
No. Anyway, no. This is pretty good stuff. In 1967.
Oh my gosh! That's before I was born.
My senior year, I wrestled in the tournament that year, and I didn't know much about the rest of the wrestlers around, but Albert Lee had this guy. His name was Chuck Jean.
Chuck Jean,
and he was a 3-time state champion. He was a 2-time national champion at Iowa State. He got into a little problem at Iowa State and had to go to a smaller school. But to say that he was an enthusiastic and intense human being would be an understatement. And I won't even tell you why he got in trouble when he was at Iowa State. But he was probably, for quite a few years, the best high school wrestler to ever come out of Minnesota.
Okay.
He was that tough, 180 pounds, 5'8". As somebody said, when you grabbed him, it was like grabbing steel. And the whole family was like that. In fact, when he was about 60 years old, he was doing roofing, and he was 55, 68. But his father, who was 76, was helping him. do this roofing. So the Jeans were legendary tough people, but he was the first basic wild man, and when you went on the mat, that was the portrayal that he wanted to put through. Anyway, Scott Jean died. Chuck Jean died. Chuck Jean, and so he was 72. Decided on September 29th, and Albert Lee. So like he's going to have this at Albert Lee. Do they have it in a big? No, at the Legion Club. This guy is a basic guy. He went back to Albert Lee, married his sister of a girlfriend of his sister's, and he went and raised his family, and had wrestling sons who went on to other wrestling things like wrestling families do. But he's only 72, and he's my age, and we wrestle in the same tournament, and that's scary. So, but he was quite a guy, so I want to just bring up Chuck Jean.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, next time we talk to you, don't know when that's going to be, because playoffs are here, and well, we may not talk till after Halloween. So hang out there, everybody. Have a great rest of your October, if that's the way it goes. And George?
Hey, we'll see you Tuesday somewhere.
Thanks, everybody.